Hey Carl, Jason here. Just want to say that no, I've not watched the AP for whatever game you're going to run. So there you go.
Carl Rodriguez is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hey, Jason, thank you for not looking ahead and reading through the Abomination Vaults. I guess that's the adventure path you're talking about. So that's Jason, everyone, from Nerds RPG Variety Cast. And it is in response to this idea of looking ahead, watching YouTube, Twitch videos about a adventure path that you might be playing in, or adventure your GM might be wanting to run, and is that cheating or not? And you can look at the past episode, I think number 60, and check that out. So, welcome again, everyone, to the Geomologist Presents. Today it's mostly responses to call-ins. I might have an unboxing if I decide at the end. I was supposed to play in a couple games this week, but they just did not work out. That happens sometimes. Getting busy with life and things come up, and that's sometimes the way it goes. So so we're gonna have calls from Jason, calls in quite a bit, which is awesome, and then Joe Richter from Hindsightless, and also BJ Boyd from the Arcane Alienist, weighing in about things that I've talked about in the last couple episodes. So Jason, take it away.
I think Daniel nailed it as far as longevity of a game. It should not revolve around particular characters. So if your party slowly evolved, players dropped out, new players came in, the world should keep going and the game should keep going regardless of who's there. Like Broken Lands, if you picked up a new group, all new people, it would still be Broken Lands. And this goes into Shea Webster's Infinite Worlds, but or I'm sorry, the Infinite Game that Shea Webster talks about. But yeah, revolving a game around particular players and characters is a recipe for disaster.
That's a very good point. I think, right, there's this balance. Maybe it's not a balance, but two camps whereby, like in Shea Webster's case, or Daniel Norton, or in my case with the Broken Lands, that we have a world that's evolving based on the player actions, but the world is the world. And while the story in the moment revolves around the characters and what they do, if they leave, the world still goes on. And I kind of did this, I've done this before, not just with Broken Lands, which I think is high pine nostalgic. It's been some time that we played it, but you're right. If we were to pick it up again, maybe get yourself and Darren Green, aka Arfed, to pick up a group, and we'll pick up an Akros as the keep is being finished. You know, that could be kind of cool, and we'll move on from where we left off, or start with brand new characters. But the events that the other players did before are still in place, right? So Gabriel's character is still the warlord at the tour, and you guys are still the lords of Akros, right? So, or Tanathil's terribles, terrorists, something like that. Your gang is still active, so yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And I do like that idea. I know that we always want to have almost a continuous story going on, and like I said, I did that in the past with some of my Forgotten Realms adventures. Like I had my idea. This is my Forgotten Realm starting from point X, and I played it with some friends in AD&D, and then when I picked up the realms again in 3.5, I don't know if we did second. I can't remember, but in 3.5 or 3, you know, what those characters had done way back in the first edition incarnation of the Forgotten Realms, they had left a mark, which was kind of cool, right? And I don't know if any of those same players played, but then I remember hearing remarks like, well, that's different than canon. Yeah, don't read ahead dude about your Forgotten Realms player cheater primer. But then they played, and then when we tried to pick up another Realms game again later on with Pathfinder potentially, then we played the legacy of we played a legacy game where it was the kids of the previous players, right? So, which means that those players before in the 3.0 version left a mark that carried on into the Pathfinder version. Yeah, that was an unfortunate quick campaign, the legacy game, which I guess if I picked it up again, I'd start from that TPK. But we were trying to run the Shackled City, which was like when Paizo took over Dungeon, they ran a series of adventures that they put together as a one adventure path. Maybe it's the start of like the adventure path, calling it adventure path. Call of Cthulhu has done that forever, and there's other. I mean, the Traveler Adventure way back, right? Games have done it. I mean, The Enemy Within, probably maybe the original. I'm sure there was one before, or maybe actually GDQ, right? That's a good debate. GDQ might have been the original adventure path, or was it the Tomb? Or the Temple of Elemental Evil, right? It's kind of cool to look back on that. That could be a fun discussion. Anyway, it's cool to have this like continuous legacy and players pick up where other players left off, and I think it's a cool concept, like I said, and thank you for pointing that out.
Hey, Carl, Jason here. Glad you had a good time at Free RPG Day. Interesting hearing you talk about different games. I had a lot of fun with Tomb of the Savage Kings, and yeah, I would definitely recommend people try to search it out and pick it up. To be fair, really one fifth level character handled that whole thing because the Necromancer Idris Khan was the only one that actually did anything. The others just kind of came alongside and supported Idris in mastering all that fell before him. But all in all, it was a lot of fun. Definitely recommend people pick it up. And yeah, enjoy the podcast. Looking forward to your next one.
Hey, Jason, thanks for that. It was a really fun adventure. More and more as I play DCC and run DCC, I really enjoy it more and more with published adventures or things that I adapt to DCC, or sometimes my own stuff. So yeah, it's been pretty fun. Yeah, I love you playing Idris Khan, Master of Wind and Sand, Demon Caller of the Broken Wastes. So it's kind of cool. And I hope we play for some time and continue and bring others into the DCC fold.
Yo, Carl, is the question, do I think watching an actual play of an adventure you're about to run cheating? Yes, I do. Do I think it's a little less cheaty than reading the module? I think so. But that's because, it's the module is going to be run a little bit different by each dungeon master. Maybe they'll forget something or, not. I don't know. It just feels a little less cheaty. And plus, you just have to invest so much goddamn time. If you're really going to watch a whole actual play of a campaign, good luck. That's a lot of cheating. Anyway, man, peace out.
Yeah, Joe, that's Joe Richter from Hindsightless. Yeah, Joe, I don't understand the rationale behind it, because you're right, it's more work. Why are you going to spend 2 hours plus, depending on how many episodes run, to learn how to play a game that you're going to play again for another 2 to 3 hours, maybe longer, and then still read it? Yeah, but people do it. People like look ahead or check out how Tomb of Annihilation works, and maybe learn all the secrets to the riddle, so they're not frustrated at the table. I don't know. That's a possibility, but that's just an example. But yeah. I mean, and can you police it? I don't know. I mean, it's a question I'm going to ask now. And like you heard Jason, he responded. I believe genuinely, though he is, he is made up of, not 90% water, but 90% sarcasm, right? So There you go. But yeah, I'm glad we're all in agreement, and that's probably why we play games together, because we all agree that there are certain rules and behaviors to abide by while you're playing. So anyway, enjoying your podcast as well, and I hope you're enjoying this one, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey Carl, it's BJ. I had a thought to add on the discussion about, how does XP for gold play out in sort of the actual game world, but what does that represent? And I think additionally, originally the idea that XP for gold meant that you were doing whatever you could to get your hands on the gold, and if you were maybe playing kind of a well-rounded adventure, sometimes you have to fight for that. Sometimes you have to be stealthy or sneaky. Sometimes you have to negotiate and be diplomatic. Sometimes you might con the bad guys or the monsters or the opponents or whatever. So sometimes you might have to face traps and puzzles and hazards as opposed to combat. But over time, you're using the broad range of your adventurer's skills to get at that gold. So it's kind of up to the DM to ensure that you've got a variety of challenges with multiple solutions, so that over time, as you accumulate wealth, you've kind of exercised all your skills, and it's not just one thing you're doing over and over again. Therefore, kind of all your entire skill set as an adventurer expands, both in combat and in non-combat areas. Anyway, that was my thought on that. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, BJ. That was BJ from the Arcane Alienist, and he is weighing in on this conversation about how does XP for gold work. And he is saying because you use it's a reward for front loading the attempts to get the gold, which is what I'm understanding. So all the skills that you are involved in and machinations to get the gold are what gives you the experience and why gold should count as XP, which I think is a pretty cool take and a cool idea. That's actually an answer to Joe Richter from Hindsightless, who just made a call in about this idea of how does XP for gold work in the universe. So I think that's pretty neat. That's a good explanation. It can help us to rationalize it, and maybe add it to our WotC style, or our WotC D&D games 3.5 and all. Now I know like Paizo has been great in Pathfinder about getting XP and giving XP rewards for non-combat tasks, which include, like in Kingmaker, for increasing the breadth and width of your kingdom by hex, right? I think there was a mechanic for getting XP for hex, and same thing in Starfinder. And for doing tasks that are involved sort of in the mundane, everyday running of the kingdom settlement. So there's things like that already. There's always like a non-killy option to get XP for, and there's always a statement that I've seen, ending this being resolved through diplomatic methods still affords the PCs the full XP for the encounter, right? And sometimes, like Joe pointed out, even more, right? Depending on the direness or the end result, if you kill off these people instead of just talking to them. So yeah, I like that. I really do. It gives you, it's definitely more realistic. I mean, I know that murder hobo is a big thing in D&D, and it's like the Old West, but there are consequences, and sometimes players don't give a crap about the consequences. So there should be incentive to behave and act like you normally would in society, right? I mean, I think it's a cool thing. It's healthier, right? I think. Okay, I'm going to do a envelope ripping as opposed to unboxing. So I got an envelope-sized item from Art of the Genre out of San Marcos, California. And I like their black folio stuff, and I've done some other of their, Indiegogo items and offerings because I kind of like it. It does fit that kind of gonzo vibe that I get from DCC, and what I like is they have rules set for both 5e and for AD&D, so you could use it for DCC too, RPG. So, and I like their cover art. It's pretty provocative, but a lot of it's pretty good. They get some good artists to do their cover art. So let's see, what is this one? All right, this is the Black Label folio number 6, Before the Necrotic Gate. It has a picture of looks like a female, I guess, Triton. I don't know if you remember Tritons from old D&D, humanoid aquatic creatures. It could be a sea elf also, but not like a merfolk because they don't have the tail, but it's like a bipedal. I think Tritons had like fins in their hands and feet, but yeah, it's pretty cool picture. Oddly, this one's in like a shrink wrap. They haven't been in shrink wrap before, but yep, it looks pretty interesting. So low level for AD&D. Low level, they mean 3 to 7 characters, levels 4 to 6. So pretty cool. Could add it to my collection. One of these days, I'll actually run them. But that's Art of the Genre. Look them up. I think it's a very interesting stuff, and they have it's pretty cool. In their products, they have like a flat white and blue map and an isometric map too, which is kind of neat. Well, that's all, folks, in this episode of the GMologist Presents. I didn't run anything in the last several days, or I didn't play in anything, so no recaps. Yeah, I wonder if this one will be listened to more because it's shorter, or it doesn't have recaps. Be interesting to look at the metrics afterward. But yeah, I think I have something big planned. I want to do a joint session with someone to talk about some aspect of gameplay. So it should be pretty neat. Also, thank you again for my callers, Jason Connerly, who you know very well, and he and I just did a joint. I was there for his mailbag episode, the latest episode that was released today, and then we have Joe Richter from Hindsightless and BJ from the Arcane Alienist weighing in about cheating and XP for gold. So I hope you enjoyed it. And now TJ Drennan, who does the music, can take us out.